Hey traders, so in this video I'm going to be showing you a single trend trading strategy that is part of my core trading toolkit. Over the years I've built up a selection of different trading strategies that I find work well in different market conditions. And in today's video I'm going to be sharing a trading strategy that I find is very effective, and I find it's one that I keep on coming back to just because it plays out in such a predictable manner. So let's dive in and let's see how you can put it into action. Remember that Forex trading is risky and that most traders lose money. This video is for educational purposes only and should not be considered trading advice. Hey, I'm Ali from FX Scout. So in this video I'm going to be showing you the trendline or channel bounce. I find it's a very effective strategy, especially during a strong trending market. So the channel bounce or trendline bounce focuses on buying or selling pullbacks to a well-defined trend line or channel. This strategy is simple, but it's very effective, especially during a strong trending market. Before we dive in, I just want to quickly show you what a channel or a trend line is and how you can define it on your charts. So a channel is created by drawing a trend line along the highs and lows of your price action. In an uptrend, the lower trend line acts as a support level, and in a downtrend, the upper trend line serves as a resistance level. When the price pulls back to these trend lines, it often signals an area of interest where traders can buy or sell. To increase your probability of success, you don't want the channel or the trend line to have gone on for too long. In other words, you don't want it to have exhausted that trend. So for it to be a valid trendline bounce strategy, you want to wait for 2 tests, and then you want to enter off the reversal of the 3rd test of that trend line. And the 3rd test offers a high quality setup because the trend line has been confirmed, and therefore you can be sure that the bounce will be valid. So how do you trade the strategy? Firstly, you want to identify the trend line or the channel. And of course, a channel and a trend line are pretty similar, except the channel has a parallel line drawn to that support or resistance line. So next you'll wait for multiple tests of that trend line, and as I mentioned earlier, you want at least 2 tests of that trend line, and then you'll wait for the 3rd test and reversal before you enter. This basically helps to confirm the validity of the trend line. The ideal entry occurs on the 3rd touch, which often signals a bounce. Next you want to plan your entry and your exit. So you'll enter the trade as the price touches the trend line and begins to reverse. You'll place your stop just below the previous low touch in an uptrend, or just above the previous high in a downtrend. For your target, you want to aim for a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio. So let's have a look at some examples. This is the USD JPY chart, and you can see it's in a well-defined uptrend. The lower trend line or support has been tested multiple times, and this confirms its strength. So for your entry, you wait for the price to pull back and touch the lower trend line for the 3rd time. And here we enter a long position. I usually wait for the open of the next candle for my trigger. Then in terms of where to place your stop, you'll place your stop loss just below the last touch of the trend line, slightly below the previous swing low. And then for my targets, I aim for a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, or set the target at a previous high. So in this case, the price bounced off the trend line support and rallied strongly, reaching the target with a favorable risk reward ratio outcome. Now I want to show you a second example, but this trade didn't work out as expected, but I want to show you why your risk management here is so important. So here the USD JPY is in a downtrend with a clear resistance trend line forming the upper boundary of the channel. The price rallies back up to test the trend line for the 3rd time, and this provides a potential short entry. So you'll enter the short trade as the price touches the upper trend line or resistance and begins to reverse. You'll place the stop loss just above the last touch of the trend line, slightly above the recent high. And you'll of course aim for a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, or the lower boundary of the channel, but I'll go for the 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. And in this case, as you can see, the trade did not work out as planned. The price broke through the resistance trend line and it triggered my stop loss. And again, this is a good reminder that we are managers of risk as traders, and that not every trade will work out. But if you've got a solid risk management plan in place, you shouldn't lose too much money on your trade. Now, just a reminder, if your stop loss is too wide because that was the last touch of the trend line, and you find it puts your risk reward ratio out, or you find that it probably won't touch your target, or you find that the trend line is not so well defined, then I would avoid the trade altogether. Don't put yourself in a position where you don't have a good trade setup. Just as we finish up, I just want to remind you of some key points to remember. Firstly, wait for confirmation. It's best to wait for at least 2 touches of the trend line before taking the trade. The 3rd touch often offers a more reliable setup. Next, use tight stops. If it looks like your stop loss is going to be too wide, rather avoid the trade to avoid throwing your risk-reward ratio out. And thirdly, look at your market conditions. Channel trendline bounces work best in trending markets, but not in markets that are too volatile or too choppy. So just be aware of the market conditions when you are trading this strategy. So in closing, this is a very simple yet effective trading strategy, but you have to look at the market conditions and you have to ensure that you manage your risk. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Our website is fxscouts.com, and please remember to subscribe and like. See you in the next video.